While everyone's eyes were glued to the stock market and interest rates, something much bigger was happening behind the scenes. China was quietly cornering the market on a metal that is absolutely critical for the future of AI and clean energy. A single date has been set, with no fanfare or public debate, January 1st, 2026. That's when new export controls are set to begin. And the United States is walking into this moment with a fatal weakness. Our strategic silver stockpile is completely empty. This isn't just about trade tensions or diplomacy. This is about supply control over a resource we've become completely dependent on. When you think of silver, you might think of coins or jewelry, but its primary role has shifted dramatically. Today, silver is the irreplaceable backbone of modern technology. It's inside the solar panels on our roofs, the AI servers powering the next generation of computing the semiconductors, in every device we own, the batteries in our electric cars, our advanced military systems, and the power grid that keeps our lights on. Here's the critical part. Unlike other industrial metals, there's no substitute for silver at the scale we need it. You can't just engineer it out of modern tech. In fact, it's the opposite. Every time we upgrade our energy systems or our computers, we actually need more silver, not less. The intensity of silver use is increasing with every technological leap forward. So, what's driving this impending crisis? It all comes down to China's overwhelming dominance in production. China manufactures around 80% of the world's solar panels. To do that, they consume a staggering 9,400 metric tons of silver every single year. This isn't just speculative demand, it's locked in. It's a core component of their manufacturing engine, and that demand is only going to grow. Now, think about where that silver goes. When it's used in a solar panel, it's not coming back into the market anytime soon. It's locked into that infrastructure for decades, permanently removing it from the available global supply. With every new solar farm and every new installation, the available pool of silver shrinks just a little bit more. In stark contrast, what has the United States been doing? We've spent the last few decades completely dismantling our strategic silver reserve. We sold it all off, a total of 165 million ounces. The thinking at the time was that silver was abundant, its industrial demand was underestimated, and nobody was looking at the long-term risk. The result is a total disaster in the making. The US now has no buffer, no emergency reserve, and no way to release supply into the market precisely at the moment when silver is becoming a geopolitical choke point. So why haven't silver prices gone through the roof already? The answer is simple. Paper markets have been masking a severe physical shortage. For years, futures contracts and other leveraged financial products created a kind of synthetic on-paper supply. This system only works as long as everyone assumes that physical delivery of the metal is easy and guaranteed. But that assumption is about to shatter. When major industrial users, the solar panel manufacturers, the tech giants, the defense contractors, start demanding physical metal instead of just financial exposure, the paper market will break. They don't want a contract, they need the actual silver to build their products. And when that rush for physical metal begins, there simply won't be enough to go around. Look at the fundamentals. Global mining output is flat. The quality of silver ore being mined is declining, which means it's harder and more expensive to extract. It takes years, sometimes over a decade, to get a new mine up and running. Meanwhile, demand from the AI and green energy sectors is accelerating like a rocket. This isn't a temporary or cyclical shortage. It's a deep structural problem. This is exactly why some analysts are now projecting silver could hit $100 an ounce by mid-2026, and that's not even an extreme forecast. When a real supply constraint hits, repricing isn't gradual, it's violent and sudden. At those price levels, the economics of our entire technological future changes. Solar panel profit margins will evaporate. The cost of building out AI infrastructure will skyrocket. The expansion of our electrical grid will slow to a crawl. And what happens then? Strategic hoarding begins, which only makes the shortage even worse. Price stops being about market sentiment and starts reflecting a catastrophic failure of allocation. In an environment of supply control, the paper market is always the first casualty. Derivatives will be settled in cash because there's no metal to deliver. Exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, will just track the price on a screen, but good luck trying to redeem your shares for physical bars. Contracts will be broken without any actual metal-changing hands. In this scenario, only one thing offers true protection: owning the physical silver itself. Physical metal is the only asset that sits outside the chain of dependency. It's the only thing that can't be affected by export controls, allocation limits, or delivery failures. This isn't about speculation for a quick profit. It's about insulating yourself from a systemic shock. Think of it like this. Imagine two neighbors facing a severe drought. One neighbor sees the signs and quietly starts filling a massive reservoir, preparing for the worst. The other neighbor, seeing that water has always been cheap and plentiful, decides to drain their emergency water tank to save on maintenance costs. When the taps finally run dry for everyone, the price of water becomes irrelevant. The only thing that matters is who actually has water in their tank. That is the exact situation we are facing today. China's massive, ever-growing consumption engine is the neighbor filling the reservoir. America's empty strategic reserve is the neighbor who drained their tank. This crisis won't arrive as a gentle market fluctuation. When it hits, it will be a sudden, jarring shock to the entire system. And by then, it will be too late. The time to understand this reality is now, before the rest of the world wakes up to the fact that the silver has run out. Thanks for watching. If you found this information valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss our future updates. We'll be tracking this story closely. See you in the next video.